Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss two lessons. The first one, respiration in organism. See, the plant taking carbon dioxide release for oxygen, utilized for human being. The plants needed for carbon dioxide. Introduction. All the organisms are made up of cells. A group of cells make a tissues. Tissues collectively from organs, and organs working together form an organ system. Human animal bodies are made up of many such organ systems which carry out different functions. The another one topics, reproduction in plants. Introduction. Plants reproduction is necessary for the survival and preparation of the plant species. Plants have the capability to propagate or multiply themselves by means of sexual and or asexual reproduction. All living things respire. Respiration is a process that includes breathing the environment of air in and out of the body and vice versa is known as breathing. For example, animals such as earthworms breathe through their skin. Fishes use gills for breathing, and plants exchange gases through tiny pores called stomata, which are present mainly on the surface of leaves. See some picture for breathing examples. Respiration concept. Respiration is much more than just breathing. In fact, the term refers to two separate processes, only one of which is the intake and outflow of breath. At least cellular respiration, the process by which organisms convert food into chemical energy, requires oxygen. On the other hand, some form of respiration are anaerobic, meaning that they require no oxygen. Such is the case, for instance, with some bacteria, such as those that convert ethyl alcohol to vinegar. Likewise, an anaerobic process can take place in human muscle tissue, producing lactic acid, something so painful that it feels though vinegar itself were being poured on an open sore. See the respiration chart. Respiration is divided to two groups, mechanically or physical process. Another one, biochemical process. Mechanical or physical force, external respiration or breathing. Talking in air rich in oxygen inhalation, giving out of air rich in carbon dioxide, exhalation. Internal respiration of cellular respiration. Respiration is divided to two groups. In the presence of oxygen, that is called aerobic respiration. In the absence of oxygen, that is called anaerobic respiration. See the aerobic respiration, C6H12O6 plus 6CO2 is converted in the form of carbon dioxide, water and energy. And anaerobic respiration, glucose is converted in the form of ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide, getting little bit energy only. Now it works forms of respiration. Respiration can be defined as the process by which an organism takes in oxygen and release carbon dioxide, one in which the circulating medium of the organism, example the blood, comes into contact with the air or dissolved gases. Either way, this means more or less the same thing as breathing. In some cases, this meaning of them is extended to the transfer of oxygen from the lungs to bloodstream and eventually into cell, or the release of carbon dioxide from the cells into the bloodstream and hence to the lungs, from whence it is expelled to the environment. Sometimes a distinction is made between external respiration or an exchanging of gases with the external environment and internal respiration, an exchanging of gases between the body's cells and the blood, in which the blood itself bathes the cell with oxygen and receive carbon dioxide to transfer. This is just one meaning, albeit a more familiar one, of the word respiration. Respiration also can mean cellular respiration, a series of chemical reactions within cells whereby food is burned. In the presence of oxygen and converted into carbon dioxide and water, this type of respiration is the reverse of photosynthesis. The process by which plants convert dioxide and water with the aid of solar energy into complex organic compound, now as carbohydrate. For more about carbohydrate and photosynthesis, see the carbohydrate. How gases move through the body. Later in this essay, we discuss some of the ways in which various life forms breathe, but suffice it to stay for the moment. Hardly a surprising revelation that the human lungs and respiratory system are among the more complex mechanisms for breathing in the animal world. in humans and other animals with relatively complex breathing mechanism, that's lungs or gills. Oxygen passes through the breathing apparatus, is absorbed by the bloodstream, and then is converted into an unstable chemical compound, that is, one that is broken down easily and carried to cell. When the compound reaches a cell, it is broken down and releases its oxygen, which passes into the cell. On the return trip, that is the reverse process which we experience as exhalation cells release carbon dioxide into bloodstream, where it is used to form another unstable chemical compound. This compound is carried by the bloodstream back to the gills or lungs, and at the end of the journey, it breaks down and releases the carbon dioxide to the surrounding environment. Clearly, the one process is a mirror image of the other, with the principal difference being that fact that the oxygen is the key chemical compound in the intake process, while carbon dioxide plays the same role in the process of outflow. Hemoglobin and other compounds. In humans, the compound used to transport oxygen is known by the name hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is an iron containing protein in red blood cells that is responsible for transporting oxygen to the tissue and removing carbon dioxide from them. In the lungs, hemoglobin, known for its deep red color, react with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin travels through the bloodstream to cells, where it breaks down to form hemoglobin and oxygen, and the oxygen then passes into cell. On the return trip, hemoglobin combines with carbon dioxide to form carbaminohemoglobin, an unstable compound that once again breaks down. Only this time it is carbon dioxide that is released, in this case, to the surrounding environment rather than to the cells. In other species, compounds other than hemoglobin perform a similar function. For example, some day of annelids or segmented worms carry a green blood protein called chlorocronin that function in the same way as hemoglobin does in humans. And whereas hemoglobin is a molecule with an iron atom at the center, the blood of lobster and other large crystallinous contains hemocyanin, in which copper occupies the central position. Whatever the substance, the compounds it forms with oxygen and carbon dioxide must be unstable so that it can break down easily to release oxygen to the cells or carbon dioxide to the environment. See the picture? The sugar molecule is there, the oxygen is there, the bacterium it getting for the energy. Then one side releasing for carbon dioxide and another one side releasing for water, it absorbing for oxygen and sugar molecule. Aerobic and anaerobic respiration. How is the energy stored in food released to be used by the body? You know that during the process of breathing, we take in air. Oxygen is taken in while carbon dioxide is released out of the body during breathing. Oxygen is the circulated to all the cell of the body. Food glucose is broken down in the cells with the help of oxygen. The process in which food is broken down in the cells to release energy is known as cellular respiration. Two types of respiration take place in the cells. One occurs in the presence of oxygen, while the other occurs in the absence of it. The process of breakdown of food, for example glucose, in the presence of oxygen is known as aerobic respiration. It takes place in all organisms and leads to the production of carbon dioxide, water and energy. Glucose is converted in the form of carbon dioxide, water and energy. Food is also broken down in the absence of oxygen. This process is known as anaerobic respiration. It occurs in organisms such as yeast. This process leads to the production of alcohol and carbon dioxide. Glucose without oxygen, alcohol or lactic acid plus energy plus carbon dioxide. The difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, it occurs in the presence of O2. Anaerobic respiration, it occurs in the absence of O2. Aerobic respiration, it involves the exchanging of gases between an organism and outside environment. Anaerobic respiration, exchanging of gases is absent. Aerobic respiration, it occurs in the cytoplasm and mitochondria. Anaerobic respiration, it occurs only in the cytoplasm. Aerobic respiration, it always releases carbon dioxide and water. Anaerobic respiration, end product may vary. Aerobic respiration, it yields 36 ATP molecule. Anaerobic respiration, it yields 2 ATP molecules. Aerobic respiration, example, cells in our body. Anaerobic respiration,
Example, yeast and muscle cells. Adenosine triphosphate, that's called as ATP, is the universal unit of energy used in all living cells. It is the very basic molecule which meet our energy needs and is formed in the later steps of glucose oxidation. Yeast perform the process of anaerobic respiration, which lead to the production of alcohol by incomplete breakdown of sugar. It is for this reason that yeast is used in the production of wine and beer. The anaerobic conversion of sugar to carbon dioxide and alcohol by yeast is called fermentation. Yeast are eukaryotic microorganisms classified the kingdom fungi with 1500 species currently described, estimate to be 1% of all fungal species. Yeast are unicellular, although some species with yeast forms may become multicellular through the formation of string of connected budding cells. Now, as pseudo hyphae or false hyphae, as seen in the most mold, yeast size can vary greatly depending on the species, typically measuring 3 to 4 micrometer in diameter, although some yeast can reach over 40 micrometer. Most yeasts reproduce asexually by mitosis, and many do so by an asymmetric division process called budding. See the yeast picture, beer being formed by brewer's yeast. The number of times a person inhales and exhales or breathe 1 minute is known as the breathing rate. Part of the human respiratory system. Nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, lungs, and diaphragm. External nostrils lead to nasal passes, lead to nasal chamber, lead to nasopharynx, lead to lungs, sound box, lead to through glottis, trachea, divides at fifth throat vertebra, primary bronchial divided into secondary bronchial and bronchials, divide tertiary bronchial and bronchialness, divide terminal bronchialis, divide alveolo. See the picture, the nasopharynx, mouth, trachea, lungs, and bronchi, diaphragm. Process of breathing in human being. The process of breathing involves talking in oxygen-rich air and gives out carbon dioxide-rich air. The entry process occurs because of the action of various organs of the respiratory system. We all know that we take in air through our nostrils, and when we breathe in air passes through our nostril into the nasal cavity. Air then reaches the lungs, which are located in the chest cavity. The actual mechanism of breathing involves the movement of the rib cage and the diaphragm, which are located around and at the base of chest cavity, respectively. See the picture. Air draw in, air forced out. A rib move out, diaphragm move down, and rib move back, diaphragm move back. The breathing involved two processes, inhalation and exhalation. During inhalation, the diaphragm move down and the rib move upwards and outwards, thereby increasing the space in the chest cavity. This leads to the movement of air inside the lungs. During exhalation, the diaphragm moves to a former position and the rib moves downward and inwards, thereby reducing the size of the chest cavity. This leads to the movement of air out of the lungs. Respiration in amoeba. Amoeba respires by the process of diffusion through its body surface. Respiration in land animals. Organisms such as elephant, lions, cow, frogs, and birds have lungs like that in human being. How do organisms such as cockroaches and earthworm breathe? Do they have breathing organs like that in humans, or do they have other surface for breathing? A cockroach has small opening on the lateral side of its body. These openings are called spiracles. Oxygen-rich air enters its body through the spiracles. The spiracles are connected to a network of tubes called trachea, which are present all over its body. The oxygen then enters the trachea, from where it diffuses into the cells of the body. However, the movement of carbon dioxide follow the reverse path, wherein the carbon dioxide in the cells of the body first enter the trachea and then leaves the body through the spiracles. Blood of cockroach, known as hemolymph, is involved in the exchanging of gases between cells. In earthworm, respiration occurs through the surface of their skin. The skin of earthworm is moist and slimy. Gas difficulty diffuse into its tissue through the skin. The plant respiratory system are divided into three groups: root, that's called root respiration; stem, that's called as a lenticular transpiration; leaves, stomata, the stomatal transpirations. The root has it connecting from the surface area. It's also respirate. The air space is there, the root hair is presented and respirate it. The lenticels, woody system of plants or trees have lenticels for exchanging of respiratory gases. The lenticels is lens-shaped cells, that's called as lenticels. The stomata in a leaf, the bean-shaped or kidney-shaped cells, inside presence of God cells and subscell cells and axillary cells are so presented. Do you think plant also respirate like other organism? How do plant take in oxygen? Just like all other living organism, plants to respirate. They respirate through the thinny pores of the surface of their leaves called stomata. Oxygen enters the plant while carbon dioxide leaves the plant through these pores. See the stomata picture for electron microscopic. The roots of the plants also respirate. They do so by taking in oxygen from the air space present in soil by the process of diffusion. Oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide move out with the help of diffusion only. This type of gaseous exchange take place in the younger root only and not in the older root. In the older root, the exchanging of gases occur by lenticels. The lenticels are thin-walled, loosely arranged cells with the intracellular space present in the gaseous exchange. See the picture. The part of the oxygen that is produced by the plant in photosynthesis is utilized by the plant for breathing, and rest of the oxygen is given out by plants through stomata, which we use for breathing. See the picture. The root hairs is there. The root hairs comes to join the air space, it getting for the respiration. Now we are going to discuss the next lesson, reproduction in plants. See the plant part. The two system is occurred. One is a root system, another one is a shoot system. A root system present for primary root and secondary roots. The shoot system present for leaf, stem, node, internode, buds, flower and fruits. Reproduction, the process of producing young ones from their parents. The reproduction is divided into three groups. Asexual reproduction. Single parent is involved. Simple division of a plant body into the two or more part of formation of spores. Vegetative reproduction. Cell, tissue or part of an organ of a plant develops into the new organism. Sexual reproduction. Two parents are involved. Fusion of male and female gametes produce zygote which develop into seed. Formation of asexual reproduction. Formation of new plants from the cell of a single parent. For budding, a small bud-like cellular outgrowth called bud is formed on parental cell that develop into an independent organism. See the picture of yeast. the mother cell is there for giving external force, the formation of bud, once again regenerative for another one. New species of yeast. Fragmentation. The adult organism break up into two or more pieces called fragments, which grow to become a new plants. Example, the algae, Spirogyra and fungus. See the adult one, it's divided into two, the two is grow, that's called the fragmentation. Spore formation. Parent plant produced microspores, single or multi-celled spherical body which germinate into new plants during favorable condition. For example, ferns and mosses. Say the adult one, the leaf surface having for microspore and formation of prothallus getting for new generation. Vegetative reproduction. Plants' vegetative parts such as root, stem and leaf is used to produce new plants. Is divided into two methods. One is a natural method and another is an artificial method. Natural method, roots, stems, that's called rhizome, bulbs, tubers, cones, leaves. Artificial method, cutting, grafting, layering, tissue culture. Roots, tuberous roots of dahlia, sweet potato and asparagus. Roots, stem. Most common for vegetative propagation are different kinds. Runners, underground stem. Axalis and grasses, chrysanthemum and mint, vallisneria. For runners, underground stem, rhizomes, bulbs, tubers, cones. Runners, axalis and grasses. Horizontal stem will produce new roots at nodes and then should grow upwards, forming new plants at frequent intervals. Chrysanthemum and mint. Horizontal stem arise from the base of erect shoot, come out to form new aerial shoots, and it become independent plants. Vallisneria, orchid stem which cross over small obstacles, develop small plantlet and their nodes. Underground stems, a rhizome, for example, ginger, turmeric and banana. Bulbs, onions and garlic. Tubers, buds in the eye gives rise to new plants. Example, potato. Cones, lots of rhizome joined which develop into a new plants. Gladiolus. Leaves, leaves develop small buds called adventitious bud on their margin. This grow into the plant once get to touch with soil. Example, bryophyllum, the leaf blade producing for leafy buds. Artificial method For matured plants, cut into a branch or twig is joining for the another one part. It growing for first formation of fruit and formation of shoot and once again come for the flowering. The reproduction is ready. Grafting. Stalk and scion plants. We need selected stalk plants and selected the superior variety characters is present in the scion. Go and bind with new plant. That's called the grafting. And layering. The layering using for the rows, other some plants, the layering the single twig containing for many cuttings used for the layering, the air layering. The moringa plants also using for the layering. Tissue culture. A tissue sample scraped from the parental plants, that's called as a explant. Tissue samples placed in a agar growth media containing nutrients and axine. For example, the MS media adding for axine, sample developed into the plantlets. The MS media is absorbing from the explant, getting for the callus. Formation of plantlets planted into the compost. See some pictures of in vitro condition. Sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction is the formation of new plant through the fusion of male and female gametes carried out by flowering plants. Flowers are the reproductive organism of a plants. Complete or bisexual flower, incomplete or unisexual flower. The complete flower containing both male and female reproductive cell have all the four parts: sepal, petal, stamen and pistil. Example, hibiscus and citrus. Incomplete flower contains either male or female reproductive cell, have only three parts: sepal, petal, stamen or pistil. Example, papaya and corn. See the male flower for passiflora, the female flower for pumpkin, the male flower containing for stalk and stamen, the female flower, the lower portion for budding fruit, the upper portion containing for the calyx and corolla. Stamens, male organ, pistil, female organ. Stamen bear anther containing pollen grains which produce male cell or male gamete. Pistil composed of a stigma, style and ovary. The ovary produce female cell or gametes. See the picture, the male reproductive organs, the filament and anther inside for pollen. And the female part, the stigma, style and ovary inside ovule as presented. Mature plant flower is come to pollination, that's called as a self or cross pollination. After the fertilization, formation of fruit and formation of seed, and seed once again regenerated, planted for new plants. Pollination, transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower is known as pollination. Is the first step in the process of seed formation. Two types. Self-pollination. Pollen grains are transferred from anther to stigma of the same flower. Cross-pollination. Pollen grains are transferred from anther of one flower to the stigma of other flower of same kind in different plants. See the self-pollination and another one called as a cross-pollination. Types of pollination. Self, the same plants is fertilized the same. Another cross-pollination. One plants cross with another with the help of insect, birds, winds, some animals. The another one called as artificial. This is man-made. The artificial methods for hybridization techniques. Agents of pollination. Wind. Wind blow away pollen grains from the anthers of one flower to the stigma of another flower. Features of flowers. Small, not brightly colored, do not produce nectar. Feature of pollen grains. Very light, produced in large numbers. Example, pollination in wheat, rice and maize. Water. Pollen grains are released into the water or carried out by water current to other flowers. Example, aquatic plants such as sea grasses and Vallisneria. Insect. Insect visit flowers for nectar. Some pollen grains sticky to the body part of this insect. When this insect visits another flower, the pollen grains fall on the stigma. Features of flowers. Sweet smell, bright colored petals for diurnal insect, example rose, sunflower. White or light green petals for nocturnal insect, example jasmine and cacti. Rich in nectar. Feature of pollen grains. Sticky pollen grains. Fertilization. This process of fusion of male and female gamete is called fertilization. After successful pollination, the stigma secrete nutrients. The pollen grains absorb this and start growing in the form of thin tube called pollen tube until it reaches the ovule inside ovary. Then release male gamete into the ovule. Fertilization takes place, result in the formation of zygote. Fruits and seed formation. After fertilization, ovary enlarged to form the fruit. The wall of the ovary becomes the fruit wall. The ovule becomes seeds. A fruit may have one or more seeds. Petals, sepals, and other part of the flower usually dry up and fall off. The fruit is the seed bearing part of the ripened ovary of flowering plant. The seed is the ripened ovule which contains an embryo and is covered by the protective coat. The process by which the embryo in the seed becomes active and being to grow into new plant is called germination. Seed dispersal. The process by which seed or fruit are scattered is called dispersal. Dispersal takes place by several mechanisms. Dispersal by explosion, pea plants, castor and balsam. Dispersed by wind, dandelion, drumstick and maple. Dispersed by water, coconut. Dispersible by animals, plants having fleshy fruits. Roots. Thank you.